what's going on, everybody? It is Friday night, October 2nd. We're already in October 2020. This is the Don Tony Show. I got to get used to having only one Don Tony show a week, because Mondays is Breakfast Soup Raw, Wednesdays is Wednesday Night Dynamite, Sunday is blah, blah, blah on Patreon, and tonight it's the Don Tony Show. It's the... Well, I got to do the Kermit Frog. Hey, Kermit the Frog here. It's the Don Tony Show. Yay! Wow, I haven't done that impersonation in a while, but, I mean... I'm trying to understand this correctly, especially with people online, podcasters, websites. Carmella does videos all the time with Corey Graves. Carmella is always on social media posting pictures of herself. Why are people acting shocked? Because not only did they finally reveal that it was Carmella returning, but people are talking about her look. They're talking about her face, the plastic surgery, the nose, the eyes, the ears. Ah! Why do I always look that way when I do impersonations? You ever notice that? I'm like, shut up. No, but seriously, we see Carmella online every week. What are they surprised about? I don't get that. And you know what I don't get as well? What happened? What happened to all the goofs for the last month that was shoving down your throat that the Fiend was the big baby face of WWE? The Fiend is the new big baby face of the WWE. Does that look like a baby face tonight? That look like a baby face last week? That look like a baby face the week before? I don't think so. How they do it in Family Feud? I don't think so. And next week, we get Kevin Owens versus The Fiend. Could you believe that? Can you believe that? Happy anniversary, SmackDown on Fox. 1 year. Fiend has never wrestled on SmackDown the entire year. Think of the War Room. We drafted The Fiend. We didn't draft Natty. How did that come out for you in storyline? Never. No matches the whole year. Smoky mirrors. And the funny thing is, the draft starts next week. And the draft will be designed for feuds that really never amounted to much. Now they got a way to just quietly drop certain feuds by having this person go to Raw, this person go to SmackDown. We don't know what's going to happen when NXT stars yet. Wouldn't be surprised if we have a couple of surprises. I'm looking forward to it. As Vince says every year, got to look that way. We're going to shake it up. Starts next Friday. SmackDown's the flagship show. I mean, Raw is the oldest show, but SmackDown is the flagship show. And honestly, it feels like Friday nights with yours truly and you kind of feels like the flagship show. Non-Patreon shows, I mean. I love doing the shows with Mish on Monday. I mean, we're still trying to fill each other out. That's going to take a little while for us to get in total sync. And Wednesdays, starting to, iron itself out as far as where we go. Oh, and by the way, I got to give some of this credit to Meltzer. And, I am trying to get my account back that used to give me access to all the Nielsen ratings, all the quarter hours. I don't care about demos all that much. If something really catches my eye with demo, then I'll bring that up. And case in point, you'll hear me talk about demo once right now. I don't have anything written down with this, but something that caught my eye. AEW has really cornered the women's demographic as far as wrestling goes in recent times. And I had recently reviewed and observed, get it? Observed, quote unquote, observer. I observed that WWE is starting to basically capitalize on the female demographic. It's a lot higher now. So the build on NXT is probably no surprise. And honestly, I got the quarter-hour ratings, not only for this past Wednesday, but last Wednesday as well. I'm going to share it with you tonight. And if you pay attention to my shows every week, especially when we talk about quarter-hour ratings, there's a few individuals that we have focused on, that we have said, unfortunately, are not equating to ratings. In fact, you see some big slides for certain individuals. Now, a couple of stars of tomorrow, just haven't clicked with the Wednesday night viewer for the most part. But there's some names that when we break it down every single week, you start to realize that some people, although their ratings pretty much suck, especially on NXT, don't be surprised if they go to Raw or SmackDown, because they just aren't popping on NXT. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Daniel-san, I'm going to knock that out of the way right now. And when you see podcasters and websites talk about this, it's either one of two things. It's either ignorance or being naive, or they're just using this to get attention. I saw websites tonight all writing that SmackDown might be preempted or might be interrupted for updates about Trump and coronavirus. Clickbait. He's in Walter Reed. The only way they were going to cut to a break tonight is if he went into cardiac arrest or something like that. What do you mean you're going to go to commercial? Oh, he just passed his first stool of today. Oh, he's coughing more. Well, clickbait. A lot of the stuff you read is clickbait. Just it's attempts to look at me. I got to use this. Look at me. Sasha and Bayley next week. You see people bitching and complaining. Free TV. What are you, nuts? Free TV. What are you, nuts? Does anybody in their right mind truly think that Bayley versus Sasha Banks on SmackDown next week is going to be a clear-cut match with a decisive winner? I mean, come on, man. I'm taking a quote from Joe Biden. Come on, man. Go on, that's Wrestling 101. It starts off with the BS on SmackDown, and they just get so angry, maybe disqualification, uncontrollable hate, and the only way to settle it is in this cell. Don't be swayed or dismayed because Sasha versus Bayley is being advertised for next week. That's being advertised for next week for one main reason. It's the draft. It's Fox. They're trying to pop a rating. They're trying to pop interest. Hey, this isn't Nitro, where the match is going to settle the score on regular TV. Come on. Don't be that naive. Don't be that gullible. People that are doing that, and like I said, I try not to criticize everyday fans, because a lot of fans are not interested on the insider part of wrestling or how the sausage is made. They just want to turn on the TV, be entertained. That's why when I always focus on podcasters and websites, sometimes I get people that say to me, like, what's your problem with webcasters and podcasters and websites? Why do you always got to focus on them? Because I don't want to focus on regular fans, because regular fans sometimes don't care how the sausage is made. It's like going through a drive-through. We talked about White Castle recently. Do you think I want to know what ingredients are in White Castle? Do you really think I want to know? If I go to a baseball game and they got an 18-foot long hot dog that resembles my penis, and it's just like it's got this really unbelievable flavor, and you're saying to yourself, how come regular hot dogs don't taste like this? You think I want to know that they use chicken lips and hen ass and maybe cock feet? And cock as in chickens. I mean, do I care? No, I just want to enjoy it. That's what a lot of fans are. That's why I don't criticize fans for the most part. Those people know better. They know how the sausage is made. They know that the match is going to be a schmoz to lead up to a pay-per-view. Come on. So don't even fret that that's going to happen next week. That is the setup. That is the setup. That's like foreplay. The pay-per-view will be the actual act. But next week is just foreplay. So, anyway. I know a lot of you out there about those people. See, the funny thing that I always notice on social media especially is that I'll never understand why people say, like they rip other people and they say, you know, those people that are bashing Trump, they're just looking for attention, so ignore them. But you just tweeted about them. You understand what I'm saying? I tweeted nothing today about it. Nothing. Zero. I'm not taking sides. I'm not going to do this. People were trying and sending me DMs during the day. Hey, did you notice that Barack Obama hasn't said anything yet? This was like at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. He did it at like 6 o'clock tonight. I didn't say a word because I speak for me. And look, our president, without a doubt, had a cavalier attitude, tough as nails, you know. It's almost like he treated the virus like bullying. He treated the virus like fake news. Or he treated the virus like social media hatred. Like, I'm not going to let this virus affect me. I'm going to show everyone that I'm stronger than that. And honestly, that's an ego thing. Everything about our president, and this is a good thing, and it's also a very bad thing. For 4+ years, when I have talked about him in the past, I have said the one thing that I think sums up Donald Trump. Nothing about racism, nothing about lying, nothing about America first, nothing about this. But the one thing, and I have met Donald Trump, my father has worked with his father. What it comes down to about Donald Trump is that he has the biggest ego that I have ever come across in my lifetime. And when people get upset because he's racially insensitive, okay, not racist, but racially insensitive, and that's what people, I think, miss the boat with him. He wants every single person treated the same. So he doesn't want to pander to this group or pander to this group or pander to this group. He removes that stipulation in the military about gays. Oh, he's anti-gay. No, it's insensitivity because he wants everyone, no matter what color you are or what gender you are or what sexual preference or you are, he wants everyone treated equal, plain and simple. And the thing with him is, with ego, is he cannot accept failure. He can't handle criticism. He can't handle looking weak. And in a lot of ways, that's a great thing. Because when you fight, you usually, in the end, get most of what you want. The guy's nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes. I mean, if you, as much as you hate him, if you actually look up and say, the first thing out of your mouth, including me, would be, how did he get these deals done? Like, how? How does he get these? So the point is, the ego is so huge that he thought wearing a mask would make him look weak, make him look inferior. Well, guess what, Mr. President? No, it doesn't make you look weak and inferior. I use it all the time. I sanitize. I keep my distance as much as I have lived my life. Since March, I told everybody here, I am not going to use this virus to get tweet fucked on social media. I'm not going to whine to the world and sit in a little bubble in my computer at home and getting likes on social media. And meanwhile, I got no money coming in and I whine and I have to beg people to give me money. No, I was going to live my life, but I was going to be very, very careful about it. And this guy wasn't careful all the time. It wasn't a freak accident that he used the toilet and somebody may have sneezed in the stall right before him. No, he went into a situation where he wasn't wearing a mask around people that he was close with and he got sick. So I hope this is a wake-up call for our president that, it's not always weak to be safe. In fact, sometimes it's more macho to show that you can, do the right thing. So I feel bad for him, and I hope he gets better. And it's still very, very early. I know there's a lot of people that say he's a tough guy and this and that. That virus is very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. So bottom line is, and I agree with Wad, prayers for the Trump family. I hope they get better quick and they go back to the debates. And I also think, and I truly mean this, and I know all of you out there, and we'll move on in 30 seconds, I promise. The bottom line is this, and some of my patrons today pointed it out to me. I'm going to try to find a clip. I'm going to share with everybody here. But back in, I think it was January or February, before the virus really started, we were just talking about Trump in general. And I had said at that time that he may, unfortunately, as morbid as this sounds, and some of you will remember this as soon as I say this now, he may need the Ronald Reagan moment. He may need that 1981 moment when, not that he gets shot, but something needs to happen to him, and people start to show sympathy, and that may soften him up to realize that all of this hatred and all of this animosity is not worth it. I was a kid in 81, and I have the video. And believe it or not, people get a kick out of this. In 1981, there was a soap opera on television. I don't remember which soap opera, Guiding Light or something like that. And it got interrupted because our president was shot, Ronald Reagan, in New York City. And I have the actual footage of the news break and everything. And in that soap opera, right before they went to the commercial break, was none other than Ray Liotta of Goodfellas and that TV show that on TV. I don't remember the name of it. Doesn't he do like a TV show with Jennifer Lopez or something like that? But that guy was on a daytime soap opera. And when I saw it years later, I'm like, holy look at this. He was on the soap opera right before they went to the commercial break. I kid you not. But back in January or February, I said that he may need that moment because Ronald Reagan in 1981, he was ripped apart by the news and by Democrats. Not on the level of Trump, but ripped apart. The difference between Trump and Reagan is that Reagan wasn't even if social media was around at the time, Reagan wasn't an asshole. Reagan was a nice guy, a likable guy, and a lot of people thought he was a goof. A lot of people, Tommy Vercetti. But what's that TV show? It wasn't there an NBC show? Or maybe it was a different network. I'm pretty sure it was NBC, though. But anyway, so Reagan, and look, Tony, I'm not saying that Trump started something or didn't start something. The bottom line is that at that time, Reagan was laughed at. Reagan was considered a joke. He was an actor, even though he was in politics in California. But, he had that, he got shot. And everybody became really sympathetic. And it changed the way people looked at Ronald Reagan. He was also Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. So, so look, we wish him the best. And that's it. Another World. You know what? I think you're right, Shezzy. I think the TV show was Another World that he was on. But no, Shades of Blue. Thank you, Michael. Another World might have been the soap opera in 81, but Shades of Blue is the one that he was in recently. So, and Goodfellas, obviously my favorite movie of all time. So, but yeah, we wish them well. Absolutely wish them well. And we'll see. I'm not going to talk about the debate at all. The debate was garbage. I did a live stream with Mish on Patreon, and the debate was just a disaster. I honestly, truthfully believe that if our president gets cured from this, I think the next debate is going to be really, really civil between the two of them. I mean, they'll have their tense moments here and there, but I think this is going to change a lot of the attitude. I'm telling you, I see it a mile away. I hope so. Because this animosity in this country and overseas as well, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for anybody out there. It's toxic. So, anyway, with that said, we got some stuff to get into today. You know, SmackDown tonight, I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't call it a shit show, but a lot of that show was just rematches. I mean, honestly, Jey Uso versus AJ Styles was designed to do one thing and one thing only. It's to try to change the mindset of a majority of fans out there of Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso going into Clash of Champions. Everybody and their mother knew there was no chance of Jey Uso winning that title last week. It was just a matter of, is he going to get hospitalized? Is he going to get his ass kicked? Is Jimmy going to turn on Jey? Those were the questions. Everybody knew that Roman was retaining. So now what WWE is trying to do is what they've tried to do in the past. I hate using specific names, but Tamina's one. You know, you could look at some other names. You know, they give, or you know what? What's another good one? I'm trying to think of another good one. Kofi, way before he won the heavyweight championship. You remember those years that he would get on a string of wins, and then you realize, oh, the Royal Rumble's coming up, and that's just so his moment is extra special. And then after the Royal Rumble, this is even before New Day. Dana Brooke got a whole series of wins, and the whole thing was to give that suspension. You know, Dana might have a shot in that Money in the Bank match. yeah, okay. So this is all they're doing with Jey Uso. Now, the big difference, Jey Uso, and even Kofi before New Day, and Dana Brooke for sure, is that Jey Uso is one half of one of the top tag teams we have come across in the last 10, 15 years. Jey Uso is a top-notch tag team wrestler. Jey Uso has never broken out of the tag team division and gone on his own. The problem is, Jey Uso, with all due respect, will never be Jeff Hardy. Jey Uso, with all due respect, will never be Matt Hardy. Jey Uso, with all due respect, will never be Christian. Jey Uso, with all due respect, will never be Edge. Jey Uso, with all due respect, will never be Bubba Ray Dudley. And I could go on and on and on. Jey Uso beating AJ Styles today, that's not burying AJ Styles. It's AJ Styles giving Jey Uso a little bit of a rub, and Jey Uso will probably have a series of wins going into the pay-per-view Hell in a Cell to give that suspension of disbelief that Jey Uso, I could picture Michael Cole's voice 3 weeks from now. Jey Uso's on a roll. Jey Uso going into Hell in a Cell. You know, he can actually put this off. And that's just smoke and mirrors, because in the end, you know what the outcome is going to be. And that's it. You know, Gorilla, I know a lot of people are having this obsession with Roman and Jey and Rocky and Ivan Drago. Get the fuck out of here. We were talking about that with Karrion Kross and Dijakovic and Keith Lee, and that was a better storyline because Dijakovic in that storyline was pretty much dead. Jey Uso was not dead. Jey Uso was getting the crap beat out of him, and Jimmy Uso threw in the towel. Apollo Creed was dead. All right? Dominic Dijakovic, quote unquote, was dead. You know, this is the thing. Roman Reigns didn't finish off Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso stopped it before Roman Reigns could finish him off. Finish him! With Keith Lee and Karrion Kross and Dominic Dijakovic, Karrion Kross finished off Dijakovic. That was your Rocky IV moment. Not Roman Reigns. Why? Because they freeze framed the shot at the right way where Roman Reigns could be like, see, when you look at it on face value, it sounds like the perfect fit. When you start to break it down a little bit, you realize that it's not a perfect fit. Austin, I appreciate the kind words. He said he appreciates my authenticity and knowledge as always. I thank you for that. But I'm just opinion. I mean, when I report news once in a while, and if we know something that's different, but this is just opinion. I mean, you may totally disagree with me after I say what I say. And you know what? Before we continue with SmackDown, why don't we talk about NXT TakeOver that's taking place this weekend? We're going to do predictions now. It's only 5 matches. We expected 1 or 2 more to be added, but it hasn't happened yet. I will get into Kevin Owens, Gorilla, and your chats in a moment. Let me just do NXT first, okay? And you know what? I will say this. You know what? No, I will bring up his now. KO was chosen, and I'm telling you, remember my idea from a couple of weeks ago. Remember my idea last week? Remember my idea last week on the Clash of Champions pay-per-view recap? I said, mark my words, you heard it here first. They are going to do a ceremony to make Roman Reigns officially tribal chief. Remember last week? And I was doing the whole thing, you're tribal chief. And people are like, wow, that's great Paul Heyman. Kevin Owens, in my opinion, my idea is at Survivor Series, and I know I have said this several times, but I'm going to keep saying it, and if it ends up being true, it's just like minds thinking alike. But I love this idea. I love it. Team WWE versus Team Retribution at Survivor Series. Kevin Owens insists that he is going to be the captain or one of the leaders of the team and cheerleader. We got to overcome them. And then Kevin Owens stabs WWE in the back like Steve Austin did with the Alliance in 2001. Kevin Owens turns heel, joins Retribution, puts more household names in the group, and you get that. I still think that is going to happen. I still think, and Gorilla remembers that. Don't forget it, because I really think it's a great idea. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's an excellent idea. WWE lately is going back to the Attitude Era, but as you may remember me saying about 6 weeks ago, Attitude's not coming back, but they're going to tease that Attitude is coming back by giving us watered down versions of certain things that happened 20, 25 years ago. How many times have Mish and I talked about Aalyah and Murphy? It was us two that said 2 or 3 weeks ago that they're going to do the Romeo and Juliet storyline, and it felt a little bit like Test and Stephanie McMahon from way back in the day. And people are like, oh, you're crazy. They're not going to do it. She's only 19. Oh. And let me just answer Tony first. Are they trying to bring The Rock into the storyline? I think for WrestleMania. I think Roman Reigns builds this tribal chief persona and we're already in October. So you do it until the Royal Rumble. That's why they're doing the Jey Uso rematch again, to chop another month off of Roman Reigns' reign. And I think by January, maybe sooner, maybe a little later than that, The Rock, if he has the match with Roman Reigns, The Rock will make a return, confront Roman Reigns, or better yet, The Rock just appears because they're in Florida already. Roman Reigns sees The Rock in the back, hugs him, hey, what's going on? And then, Roman Reigns starts, doing his whole tribal chief thing that his shit don't stink. And then, you could picture The Rock on the mic. Whoa, 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 whoa. And the rest is history. That's how it's going to go down. And speaking of WrestleMania, I might as well bring this up to now. Hey, we're going to have a pretty quick show today because we're actually, you ever hear the phrase hitting 2 birds with 1 stone? We're hitting multiple birds with 1 stone right now. All the rumors. Did you read about the rumors? And you know me, I don't like talking about rumors unless I see a little bit of concrete info behind them. That's why on my show, you have never heard me say over the last month and a half that the Fiend was becoming this giant babyface at WWE. I took the wait and see approach, and everybody shoved down your throat. Is that a baby face? What you saw today? I don't think so. Shout out to Shinzo the Great. First time here live, eating spaghetti, having a great night. I'm good. I'm glad you're having a great. I hope everybody's having a great night, because especially here in the United States, whether you like him or you don't, with the whole thing with the president. You see how 2020 has ended up so far? I went on Amazon, and I typed in 2020 just to see what kind of, because if you saw the shirt I wore for Wednesday Night Dynamite, it was the Backlund 2000 shirt. I have on its way to me a shirt that is actually the chest of a man, hairy chest of a man, and it looks so realistic that I am going to wear that shirt in about a week or two. And everybody's going to think that I'm just here topless with a hairy chest. But I typed in 2020 to look for some funny shirts, and there's about 200 shirts. All it shows is 2020 and a dumpster fire underneath it. Dumpster fire. I got Benjamin. I have my shirt on the way that says shirt. I don't know if, you didn't see this on Patreon the other day. We joked about it. I could show you. We joked about it on Monday. Do you remember? There we go. I don't have my phone to fix it. But you remember when we were joking that we thought Brandy actually was wearing a shirt that said shirt, and I said, I'm going to wear a hat that says hat. So there you go. There's my hat that says hat. I can make it go straight. I can make it snowy and blink, but I don't have the controls with me. I wasn't planning on turning it on. So yeah, I'm wearing a hat that says, I can have it say whatever I want. I actually was going to use this for advertising because, I gotta hustle a little bit to get cash. I'm getting married. So, but I want to earn my bucks. I want to earn it. But what was I going to talk about? We were talking about Roman Reigns and okay. There's a lot of rumors going around right now. WWE. Ryan, you could get this on Amazon. It's easy. It's a computer inside. You link it up to your cell phone. See, there's a wire in there and everything. You link it up to your cell phone. You could have it say whatever you want. You could have it. It's pretty cool. Actually, you could even have it set up that if your telephone rings, it'll actually flash the number on the hat. There's some pretty cool stuff on Amazon, and there's some garbage on Amazon. So, and it's cheap. You can get one of these hats now for $15. You just download the app. It's got a USB charger thing. There's a little battery pack here, and you don't even know. So, anyway, there's a lot of rumors going around right now. WWE is denying those rumors, and I will tell you right now, it is a lot more than just rumor. WrestleMania was supposed to go Hollywood next year. Well, it looks like that WrestleMania will take place next year in Tampa, Florida. The deal is, from what I understand, is that Vince McMahon truly, and honestly, look, whether you like him or you don't, and I'm not even talking about Vince right now, whether you like him or you don't, you will have to admit that this guy threw a lifeline to WWE. Would the WWE have gone out of business if this didn't go down? No. But he threw him a tremendous lifeline, and the person I'm talking about is Ron DeSantis in Florida. You think about COVID, you think about everything that was shut down, and Ron DeSantis, pulled a couple of strings, and, he got a lot of heat for it, and yours truly ripped him as well, that he allowed WWE to continue. Now, with that allowed AEW to still do shows in Daly's place. But Ron DeSantis, AEW, and I'm not trying to start anything right now, but AEW never gives Florida credit for allowing them to still perform in Florida. And I know why they don't do it, because DeSantis, when he talked about, all that stuff at the time, he never said AEW. He said WWE, and then he said racing events and other wrestling events. So AEW feels like, wow, you didn't even like name drop us once. And, you know, who knows? Maybe DeSantis did name drop them here and there. Maybe because somebody brought them up. And by the way, can you believe it? I mean, it's 3 anniversaries. But I honestly, last year, because I've done 53 Wednesday Night Dynamites, and I honestly don't remember last year bringing up all 3 at the same time. But you realize that all 3 almost happened at the very same time. WWE Smackdown on Fox, AEW Dynamite, NWA Power. Think about that. Today is the 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite. 2 days ago was the 1-year anniversary that NWA Power recorded their first episode of Power. And today they're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of SmackDown on Fox. Amazing. If you actually think about it, amazing to have 3 last year. It's not like 1-year anniversary for one, 5-year anniversary for the other, 3-year anniversary for this. No, all 3 last year. Pretty amazing. Yes, Benjamin, I actually was going to write that in the synopsis tonight, but I thought it was a little unfair to NWA because I was going to write NWA first Power first taping of Power and AEW's first taping of Dynamite happens same week 1 year ago. Look at how far AEW has gone, and look how bad, let's just say it, how bad NWA has become. I mean, you know, Billy Corgan's a likable and nice guy, but, you know, I don't want to say that they haven't even tried to do shows, but, you know, I mean, what did he do? Go in the studio for the last 7 months to make his next album? And, you know, I like him, and I got the email survey the other day for Power as well. But, man, you know, you on such momentum, and you see other companies snatching up some of your people. I mean, that should be a sign. You know, it's almost like if you're in a bad relationship and your significant other who never went out before says, you know, look, I'm going to go out with my friend tonight. We're going to just go clothes shopping. And then, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, you know, I promised my mom I'd let her get her hair done tomorrow. All right, well, maybe I'll see you Sunday. Well, you know, Sunday I got to take my dog to the groomers. All right, so then, yeah, I'll call you Tuesday. Oh, you know, I'm going to work late. You know, sooner or later you got to get the hint, like, you know, I better fucking up my game a little bit, or guess what? I'm out. And NWA, you know, there's loyalty. There's absolutely loyalty, but there's also stupidity. And some people are not going to risk losing an opportunity. I mean, people lose opportunities all the time. But, man, with all due respect, NWA has handled COVID the worst. I would honestly say, and I'm not, and this has nothing to do with the value of the companies. Obviously, WWE's $1 billion company, so, but as far as handling COVID with their wrestling promotions, I think AEW was number 1, WWE was number 2, Impact Wrestling, I believe it or not, I believe was number 3. And I think the 3 companies that did absolute shit with their promotions was Ring of Honor, NWA, and MLW. All right. And MLW, you know, they tried to do these press releases and everything. But at the end of the day, oh, we're not going to do shows again until it's absolutely safe. I mean, you know, millions, I shouldn't say tens of millions, but millions of people have gone out back to work. A lot of their wrestlers in their company are working elsewhere. I mean, what does that say? You know, we're not going to do shows until we're absolutely safe. But your wrestlers are wrestling elsewhere. Hi, Court. Look, I'm on Dark. Yeah, you know, let me know when it's safe over there. You know, to me, I thought it was just words. I mean, obviously they do care about their safety. But you see and now they're returning to shows. So let's also be honest. Ring of Honor returned to shows. MLW's returning to shows. NWA, that album better be good, Billy. Seriously. There better be some really nice guitar solos in there as well, because wrestling is passing you by. No matter how nice you are, wrestling is passing you by. And Tim Storm is going to be another 2 years older. Nick Aldis, God bless him. I mean, he is probably going to be the MVP of that company if he hasn't been already. It's going to be, I said in January that 2020 was going to be the year of commingling. Obviously, that was before COVID, and COVID screwed a lot of that up. 2021, you're going to see NWA doing deals with multiple feds. And guess what? Some feds will probably say, no, you know what? No, thanks. Because I want to feel, if the NWA champion comes on my show, I want it to feel extra special. Not like Colt Cabana that shows up on Ring of Honor and MLW and Jack Steak and Ribs and Wrestling and AEW and blah, 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 blah promotion and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and War. I mean, we were joking last year. Remember? We joked about Colt Cabana, and this is nothing against Colt Cabana. He's a great wrestler, great podcaster, funny guy, very talented, very smart. But there was one point last year that he was on like 5 different promotions within 10 days. And, so anyway. Who's got Thunder Rosa lined up for Monday afternoon? Gorilla Press. What do you mean lined up? You going to interview her? If you're going to interview her, that's awesome, man. You're going to have a great interview with her. She is good people. Talented outside, talented in the ring, very, very intelligent and genuine outside the ring. She is just very friendly social media-wise. Gorilla's actually going to be interviewing her, so good luck with that. But she is a really, really, really nice person. I mean, I will say this, and maybe she knows because she ships her own stuff out, but as far as some giveaways that I have done over the last 4 months, I can honestly say, putting AEW and WWE aside, Thunder Rosa has been the most requested person as far as people who wanted like a shirt or a figure or, something of hers. I own 3 of her shirts, but she's just a really, really classy person, and, have fun with that, seriously. And be a little prepared also. Be a little prepared. You start, dropping some knowledge as far as Thunder Rosa facts, that'll give you really big brownie points with her. So she likes that. So good luck, man. Good luck. And the Donzilla Army is obviously, and please, you don't have to super chat this. Send me the link. If you're on Twitter, DM me. Send me the link of the interview, and I'll plug it to death. I don't charge everybody for love. So, but anyway, getting back to Florida, Ron DeSantis, by allowing WWE to continue and taking big time heat for it, even though WWE had COVID positive and other stuff going on, DeSantis really did a solid to WWE. So even though they had WrestleMania Goes Hollywood next year in California, WWE, DeSantis said a couple of months ago that he'd love a second shot at WrestleMania, and Vince McMahon is going to take him up on his offer. That is reward to DeSantis for really throwing a lifeline to WWE. Again, they wouldn't have been out of business, if they couldn't do the shows in Florida. Remember, not every state in the United States had bad COVID cases. If WWE really wanted to, they could have picked up and gone to another state that had very, very low COVID, and they could have just set up shop there, worked out an agreement, and they could have done shows. And hell, there's some states where they could have even had fans for the last couple of months. A lot of you that don't live in New York are aware of the dining situation in my neck of the woods. 2 days ago, they allowed 25% indoor dining again. It's all politics, and I'm not even going to talk about it on the shows, but you all know that. Nassau County, Suffolk County, 15 minutes away from me, Nassau County. Me and my fiance, we went away 3 weeks ago. We, for the first time, went out to eat. And we went on Sunrise Highway in Nassau County. And we walked in. It was like borderline Nassau, Suffolk County. We walked in, and almost every table was full. There was plexiglass between each booth. We ate. We took our masks off while we ate and drank. And look, the people that like to crack wise-ass jokes that, oh, this person, why does he not have a mask on? Because he's eating. Oh, that's okay. There's so much more to it than just one-liners. You actually start thinking about it. But the thing is that Nassau and Suffolk County have had virtually no cases. Very few. A couple of dozen at most. And they've had indoor dining at 50% or higher for the last 4 fucking months. And in my neck of the woods, it only started at 25% 2-3 days ago. So the bottom line is, you have WWE. They could have gone to a different state that has like 2 cases a week and almost nothing. And they could have set up there and they could have done shows, no controversy, no nothing. The fact they didn't have to leave the Performance Center, the fact that they could stay locally, the fact that so many wrestlers live in Florida and could literally go home at night, DeSantis is going to be rewarded from WWE. So WrestleMania going Hollywood probably would be 2022 if that goes down. So, and just one last thing about Thunder Rosa, and then I definitely want to bring this up. Gorilla Press says she's arguably as hot now as Becky Lynch was last year. No, I wouldn't. I'm not saying this to disrespect Thunder Rosa, but, you look at Becky Lynch's following, you look at Thunder Rosa, it's not even close. Thunder Rosa is arguably the number one woman in women's wrestling on the indies right now. And the thing you got to understand, too, is Thunder Rosa still, has room to grow, as did Becky Lynch or anyone else. But Thunder Rosa's popularity is nowhere on the level of what Becky Lynch was a year ago. No. You look at, and if that were true, Thunder Rosa would be featured on all these media outlets. She does a lot of wrestling-related stuff. Once in a blue moon, she gets an outside. I mean, come on, Becky Lynch was everywhere outside of wrestling. So, and that's not a knock on Thunder Rosa at all. It's not. But as far as women's wrestling outside of WWE and AEW, or maybe even including AEW, she's probably close to number one. And she deserves it. She's a good person. So, again, DeSantis will likely be rewarded and WrestleMania will stay there. There was something else I wanted to bring up, too, that I thought was... Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I have to get this off of my chest. Take me 2 seconds, and then we move on. Alexa Bliss. She was getting heat on social media this week because she was basically throwing a shout out to Murphy or defending Murphy in the storyline with Aalyah. And Alexa Bliss pointed out to everyone that she is, I believe, 29 and her boyfriend might be 38. Because a lot of people out there were talking about how creepy it is that Aalyah is 19 and Buddy Murphy is like, I don't know, 31 or something like that. I don't know the exact age. Might have even been 34 or something. Anybody have Buddy Murphy's age offhand? I think because I want to bring up a really good point. 32. Thank you, chat. So Aalyah is 19, Murphy is 32. And I saw all these goofy, asinine, ridiculously moronic arguments about how she's an illegal woman. She's 19. Yeah, it's young, but she's legal and this and that. And then people, here's the bottom line. Here's my take on the whole situation with Aalyah and Murphy. And if you follow on Mondays, Mish and I called this storyline 3 weeks ago, but Obviously, the Alexa Bliss hate took place after Monday. This is my response to all the stuff that's going on the last couple of days. If a guy was 19 years old and started flirting with a 32-year-old woman, I could guarantee you that a lot of the macho guys out there that like to make fun of fans going on a Jericho cruise, they would all praise that 19-year-old guy. They would envy him. They would probably even just tell him wow, they would just absolutely eat it up and love it. So don't give me this bullshit that because she's a 19-year-old woman and Murphy is a 30 or 32-year-old guy that somehow that's creepy or that's not right. Because if Murphy was 19 and Aalyah was 32 and she was a hot piece of ass, 95% of everybody out there would absolutely soak it in and I'm talking about the uber males and the ego fools out there. They would just eat it up, and it's a fantasy to them. A 19-year-old guy with a 34-year-old hottie, and I'll give you a great example. When I was a teenager, the woman that I remember all of us just oohing and ahhing over was Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford. We were just teenagers. Everybody was just infatuated with Cindy Crawford. And I guarantee you that if any of us were 19 at the time and she was 32, and any of us would have said, yeah, I'm going to go out with Cindy, even if she wasn't a famous person, all my friends would be like, yo, dude, you got to record it. Dude. You got to, or they'd just be absolutely envious of it. So don't give me this shit that, it's a 19-year-old woman. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. These are people online that are just jealous that they have no mate. Almost everybody that bitched about it don't even have a significant other, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or even bestiality. I mean, they don't have anything. So it's almost like the dating version of Miro when he signed with AEW. Look at all the rejects out there that poke fun at Miro and poke fun of AEW because he got hired there. Another WWE reject. This guy can't fucking work for another wrestling company again? Oh, but it's AEW. The hell does that mean? You don't like the promotion anyway, so what the fuck do you care? Yeah, but these are just people bitter to see other people getting this, whether it's a job, a date, a text, ignore those people. Seriously, losers. So anyway, so that's what I had to say about that. So now we could finally talk about NXT TakeOver. Like I said, it's only 5 matches. And I'm going to give you my match predictions. Honestly, there's no surprises here. The big buzz is about who is going to make a return. I threw a little suggestion, opinion, idea on social media that got a lot of attention. Now, I did find out that it is okay for me to play this teaser for all of you here. But, let's do the matches first. Then we'll play the teaser video. We have Santos Escobar defending the NXT Cruiserweight Championship against Isaiah Swerve Scott. I like Isaiah Swerve Scott, but he's not ready yet. He's on his way. If you remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, I think he, 1 year from now, will be where Cedric, Ricochet, and Rich Swann were in WWE and 205 Live like 3-4 years ago. Isaiah Swerve Scott is on the right path. But as far as him being a Cruiserweight champion yet, no. You do not take that belt off of Santos Escobar. He is doing great in his role. He looks awesome. He cuts great promos. And it fits him perfectly. The gold has class right now. You do not change that. So I say Santos Escobar retains. Kushida versus everybody's favorite, Velveteen Dream. By the way, I hope you tuned in to Monday because we revealed a little bit extra of that text conversation that Aalyah and Murphy had. I actually got my hands on some extra lines that WWE did not show on Monday. So you got to check it out. And people are already putting smiley faces up because they know exactly what went down on Monday. You know what? Maybe I could pull it up really quick. I might. See, I try to keep the computer. Oh, yes, here it is. Okay. All right, let's pull the first one up. Okay, give me 2 seconds, and let's pull the second one up. All right, I know some of you already saw this, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind if I brought it back once again. But if you remember on Monday, this was the text conversation between Murphy and Aalyah. And Murphy's like, hey, I just wanted to apologize again. And Aalyah's like, thank you. Murphy's like, I hope you're doing okay. And Aalyah says, I'm fine. It's just been a lot. And Murphy says, I get it. But if you want to talk about it, I'm here. And Aalyah, she's like, I might take you up on an offer. By the way, happy birthday. Oh, so sweet. I liked it. Well, WWE actually cut out the rest of that conversation. So in case you didn't see it, we got firsthand the rest of that conversation. And if you look at it there, it says, I get it, but if you want to talk about it here, I'm here. And she says, I might take you up on that offer. Happy birthday. And then Murphy with the creepy, what school did you go to? She's got question marks, all baffled. What are you talking about? And there's Velveteen Dream with the troll. Look at that. Unbelievable. Now, obviously, if you haven't figured it out yet, that was just me a little bored on Monday, and I actually photoshopped that. I had to find the right font. You have no idea. And see, people don't understand. With Photoshops, it's not only how perfect it looks, but when it comes to text, you got to try to figure out what font they use. And don't even ask me how I was able to figure that out. But if you look really, really close, and I know on Monday I couldn't zoom in on it. I don't know, it was something about the conversation, but if you actually look close, that creepy look, it's him. It's him. What school did you go to? So there you go. Hey, anybody that follows me on a weekly basis knows I have defended Velveteen Dream since day one. Nobody. I think JD from New York might be the only person online that defended that guy since day one. Not because I like creeps no. I took the time to do the research that night when those accusations came in. And the chances of three people that don't know each other all ending up on the same message board in the wee hours of the morning all happen we're not going to revisit the whole thing, but and then when they went on social media and said, look, everybody, he might have been hacked. So let's wait and see what he says. And like 2-3 hours later, he says, look, everybody, I didn't post that photo. And instead of saying, okay, they're like, aha, we don't believe you. And then, they claim they went to the authorities. If you were legitimately, somebody was a predator on you and sending you nudes, and you believe they did that, and then you lie and say you went to authorities when you didn't, and then after all this time, you still don't go to authorities because they don't charge you money in order to get investigated. Look, authority. Look, authority. I was stalked I was cybercrime. Somebody sent me nudes. Oh, you got to give me $39.95. If he did what he did, why didn't they send it to an investigator? And you know the reason why. Because if an investigator would have came back and said, look, he didn't do this. There's no proof. His phone's clear. Now they have nothing to use against him. So they keep it vague because they want to use that as a clout chase and something to jab him with for the rest of his career. Plain and simple. They're waiting for WWE to call him still. For what? So we'll send you an autographed chair and an apology? You go to the fucking cops. You don't go to WWE. Just like, there was, and with all due respect, we got a journalist and a podcaster who claimed that they were threatening their lives by another podcast, some social media. Instead of calling the cops, they go on Twitter. So, if anything ever comes out substantial about Velveteen Dream, I will rip him just as much as everybody else. But again, you actually take a step back and you see how everything went down, it makes zero sense. So I defend him since the beginning. But even though I defend him since the beginning, I'm going to go with Kushida in this match. It's a little confusing how they've used Kushida the last couple of weeks. You remember a few weeks ago, people were like, oh, Kushida's a heel. Kushida's attacking Dream and doing this and doing that. Then he do this whole vignette with him kissing his babies and, I'm going to be vicious. So Kushida, it's almost like, look, I got a new attitude. I'm not taking shit no more. I lost opportunities because I got injured. And now you're getting a much more serious Kushida. That's it. Oh, Neil Ray says that Kellyanne Conway got COVID. I don't think you could blame that on Trump. I don't think she's been around Trump. Maybe she has. I don't know. Telling you, man, I don't want to rip the Trump or a company, organization, the government, or anything else, but all these people that got it, I could see if a family member gets it from another family member. You might remember, I think a week ago, I had polled everybody live and I asked all of you, how many of you have gotten COVID? 2 people answered that they did, and one of them got it from a family member who worked in a hospital. So, that's not carelessness. That, unfortunately, is a situation and circumstances that, it happens in that profession. You see these people in the government getting it, those are people who did not take the virus seriously. Now, you know what? We can put a wrestling perspective on this. Now you understand why I ripped the shit out of all those podcasters and those websites that claimed a couple of weeks ago that AEW was doing prick tests from a different location. You remember when I told you, and you all remember this, do you remember when I said that you get the virus, it doesn't immediately hit you? It's got to take a few days to camp out, establish their ground, set up. It's almost like going camping. Your virus enters your body. It's hiking, it's looking, it's building, and then it gets into your system and it spreads around, and then it finds, hey, we're going to camp out here tonight. Let's start a fire. And then a day or two later, I got sniffles. Hey, I'm weak. I feel like somebody ran me over. I got a little fever. Guess what? I got COVID. He got tested negative the day before. He got tested the negative the day before that. Negative the day before that. And now they think that he caught it Saturday when they did that Rose Garden ceremony. Here's my point. Now you understand, when you see these websites talking about COVID testing, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because the prick test was not true with AEW. Was it one of the tests? Absolutely. But the prick test tells you more if you have antibodies. When you see all these scientists going up on TV with Trump and they're like, hey, we came out with this new test. Do you notice that every test they talk about is sticking something up your nose? Do you ever see them going on TV saying, look, everybody, we now got the prick test? Like diabetes, like for everyone out there that checks their finger, their blood glucose, it's the same thing. You just go click and you zoom it and you wait a few minutes. It's always up the nose. So they didn't know what the hell they were talking about, because doing the prick test doesn't tell you right then and there if you got it. It tests for antibodies for the most part. You cannot, I know these wrestling news sites are pretty much your only source for news, but when they get into territories they don't understand, you got to just take it with a grain of salt. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. And how Trump got this and how it took until Thursday, 4 days later, to get tested positive. He got tested every day. Negative, positive. What did I do the day before? And then you find out 5 people that were on the Rose Garden Saturday all tested positive. They weren't around each other since Saturday. Takes numerous days. But I will say this. Now you understand a little bit more why WWE is having Retribution stay in quarantine for 15 days. The first 4 or 5 days. Now, you'll understand why the 15 days is extreme. The first 4 or 5 days, you could very well, like Trump, negative, positive. How's that possible? I've been quarantined the last 5 days. How am I positive now? I've been negative 4 days in a row. Takes a few days for it to kick in. So if Retribution did not have COVID, but they were around someone that did, after 4 or 5 days, if you don't test positive and you haven't been around anybody, you're not testing positive. Now, if WWE wants to wait 7 days, okay, 15 days is extreme. But now you understand why they don't just immediately bring someone back, because it takes a little while for it to kick in. Yeah, Benjamin, Sportskeeda is awful too. There's so much awful crap out there. But, me, I usually just ignore them. I'll criticize them once in a while because so many people cut and paste the same thing. But I usually just stay away from it. And honestly, when you stay away from those sites, you realize how accurate, and I'm not trying to brag, but anybody that's been a loyal friend of mine, supporter of mine, that's watching this right now. I've been doing this since 1997. In 23, almost 24 years now of me doing this, how many times have I reported something wrong? Seriously, I know new people are going to be like, that's not true, DT. But it is true. In 23 or 24 years, I might average one thing wrong every 2 or 3 years. You never, most of the time, and this is one of the reasons why, I changed how I do certain shows now, is because there was too much news creeping into the show based on tweets. And I don't do that. Like, oh, did you hear about this? No, I didn't hear about that. Oh, well, they're not. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. Well, who reported this? Oh, one of my sources. Who's your source? And then you realize it was reading a tweet. That's why I stay away from it. If you stay away, see, I understand, and in the defense, I understand the urge to want to talk about a topic. Something gets written, everybody's talking about it. Hey, I want to be in on the conversation as well. But you got to look at the origin of it. And if you resist something, even though other people are talking about it, you end up being right. It looks wonderful. Look at Bray Wyatt, for example. Everybody was shoving down your throat for the last 6 weeks that Bray Wyatt's the new number one giant babyface of WWE. Yeah, that certainly looks it. By the way, Braun Strowman has to be drafted to Raw. Has to be drafted to Raw. Ever since the Alexa Bliss Fiend thing, what has he done? Where is he? Dabba-Kato is more under his skin than the Fiend or Alexa Bliss. I mean, this guy totally changed in storyline, changed his whole persona, was kicking it, killing it, kicking ass and killing it with his promos. And he's more pissed off at Dabba-Kato? So, I don't know, man. So anyway, wait. Okay, hold on. First of all, gentleman that's going to interview Thunder Rosa. Yes, Mission Pro Wrestling is Thunder Rosa's company. Definitely bring that up. Let her push some of her items. That's always a good thing. And, she doesn't know who I am, but I've been a frequent customer of hers because I've had people, win prizes and they're like, oh, I want something Thunder Rosa. So, Anthony, I did talk a little bit about Trump before. You could rewind the show. I sent him well wishes, but, I'm hoping that this finally like gets a little bit more, things getting a little bit more copacetic. I mean, there's people that hate him. There's people that you'll never change their minds. I stay away from those people. There are people tonight begging me, you're going to talk about Batista and what Batista said about Trump. He doesn't give a crap that his car. I'm like, you know what? That's his opinion. Honestly, what am I going to do? Call him an asshole? And what's that going to do? You know what I mean? It's just some people have such a deep hatred for someone that, they do wish death on them. And look, I could understand why some people absolutely despise this man. I think of the McCain family right off the bat. Do I think John McCain was a hero? Yeah. But, you could see, I mean, when he died, I happened to be on vacation when he died. I was in Connecticut. And, everybody was paying tribute to this guy. And, we got nothing from our president. So I can understand why people are bitter. But me, I won't go for that. Seriously. I won't go up that tree. I just feel like, you know what? Hopefully things calm down a little bit now. And let's also be a little realistic, though, that some people who are being awfully nice right now, that they're just doing it for brownie points and to look good. Privately, they're probably wishing that this guy drops dead from this. I mean, it's that's the case. Anthony Diaz also asked, did I sign up for the Lio Rush OnlyFans? You know what? I don't have that photo here, but I saw it and I said, okay. Lio Rush set up an OnlyFans account. And there's a picture of him online where he's pretty much naked and he's got a towel over him. Looks a little bit like that Randy Orton picture from many years ago where he only had the towel covering his private part. Lio Rush was a little different because it was draped around part of his body, but he was basically showing off his abs, his tattoos on one side of the body. And I was like, yeah, no, that's probably not an OnlyFans that I'm going to sign up for. I mean, I'll admit it, I'm not subscribed to any OnlyFans accounts. So I'm not, yeah. Worst date I've ever been on. I've talked about this before. I was 16 years old. Just got a permit. And me and my friend went to, and I'm sorry some of you didn't know the story already, went to a bazaar, Our Lady of Hope Church in Middle Village, Queens, on Elliott Avenue, had a bazaar. The Our Lady of Hope Bazaar. It was in the summertime. And what happened was I had my father's Cadillac. Back then we called it a Cadillac because we would be like teenagers driving like a really nice Cadillac, and everybody knew it wasn't yours, it was probably your father's. So instead of calling it a Cadillac, they call it a Dadillac. Oh, he's out with the Dadillac. That means his daddy's Cadillac. So I took my father's Cadillac out. We picked up these two girls. We had picked them up like a week or two earlier, but we picked them up, take them to the bazaar. So they wanted to drink. And me, because I thought I was a macho teenager, we went to the liquor store. I had fake ID at the time. I parked my father's car like 2 blocks away from the bazaar. We walked to this liquor store, and I bought vodka. Then we went to some cheap deli, and we bought orange juice. So we were drinking screwdrivers at the bazaar. And we're hanging out, having fun and everything. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting on the steps of the church, and I start making out with this girl. And next thing I know, from having all of these screwdrivers, and I had eaten, it was either baked ziti or ziti with marinara sauce. I think it was baked ziti. And next thing I know, as I'm making out with this girl, I threw up in her mouth. I just, everything came up, I threw up, and we were kissing. And next thing I know, she's like, ooh, and then you see ziti all out of her mouth. And she just like smacks me, walks away. I look down, there's like vomit on me, there's ziti, there's screwdriver, orange juice. And I remember a priest putting his hand on my shoulder, and I looked up, and he's like, that's okay, son, let it out, let it all out. And I just went, blah! And I threw up all over the place, and I just laid there for about an hour. I ended up walking home, Did not drive my father's car home until the next day. I don't even know what excuse I told my mother and my father. My mother said to me, like, where's the car? And I said to, like, it wouldn't start or something. And she knew I drank. And that was the worst date I ever went on. I mean, I've done stupider things, but that one was probably the stupidest. I mean, I look back on it and I laugh because I could just I still to this day could, because whenever I kiss, I close my eyes. And I remember just like this. And then, boom. And, you know, because we both had our mouths open, tonsil hockey. That's what happened. True story. Our Lady of Hope Bizarre. Worst date I've ever been on. Hopefully she didn't hear that. She don't like hearing those stories. So, anyway, let's get back to NXT TakeOver predictions. So far we got Santos Escobar retaining, Kushida winning his match. Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. There is no way they are taking the women's title off of Io Shirai, especially if we get a return of a certain individual, which we'll talk about in a moment. Io Shirai retains. In fact, I don't think any titles are changing. I don't think any titles are changing Sunday. Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano. If Damian Priest had that title a little bit longer, then I would say, you know what, there's a chance Gargano takes the title off of him. Gargano has grown on me a little bit. I'm fine with him right now. I don't like the promos at home. That stuff has been pretty much awful. The ratings have reflected it. Oh, and wait till I get into the quarter ratings. Wait. That's why I like getting into the quarter-hour ratings, because when we do that every week, you start seeing not only a trend, but you start seeing a pattern with some wrestlers. And when we get into these 2 weeks tonight, you're going to see some names. The pattern continues. And if I take note of it, and you take note of it, I guarantee you WWE's taking note of that as well. So Damian Priest is going to retain his title without a doubt. And then we have Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. 1 week ago, I didn't have too much into this match. I wasn't invested in this match at all. It felt almost like, okay, you know, everybody else has been rewarded in the Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly hasn't been rewarded as much. Let's give him a title shot. But, man, being reminded how great he was in Ring of Honor, seeing the setup with the vignettes, the Shawn Michaels, the 3, I told you I didn't like it Wednesday. It was kind of bland. The ratings will reflect that. So now I'm very invested. In fact, I think this match will be the match of the night. If they allow them to go 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, they could have arguably one of the best matches of the year in pro wrestling. So I agree with you, Neil. Kyle O'Reilly should win, but he's not. So Finn Balor will retain. So those are your 5 matches. Now, it is a shame, but those matches are obviously being overshadowed because we have someone returning on Sunday. Now, if anybody follows me on Twitter, at DonTonyD, I've already thrown up a scenario, not just names, but I threw up a scenario. Do not discount, because I haven't seen anybody say this. But here is the last preview that WWE did Wednesday about the return of this individual. I want you to just pay close attention to this. Again, I'm allowed to share it. And then I will tell you 3 scenarios that I'm thinking about with Sunday. 2, really. 1 is something everybody else is talking about, which I'm fine with, but I'm still not feeling it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But this is pretty cool. Check this out. If you did not see NXT, or maybe you just want to see this again, it's only about 40 seconds, but here's the teaser for Sunday.
I've heard them say you can never go back home. Too many roads in life to take. But sometimes You have to stop and look around you to see that home may not be the same place it was when you left it. And you realize
doing something about it
will be your destiny.
Now, I might play that again. Now, something that I have been saying for the last week or so is, why does it have to be only one person? Maybe it's two. Because 2 weeks ago, we all got the impression that it could be Bo Dallas because he broke the glass case with the titles in it. But then I started really focusing on one person. That is Tessa Blanchard. The reason why I focused on Tessa Blanchard is because everybody out there has been talking about Ember Moon returning to NXT. And someone actually took notice. If you go back at the first vignette, there is a screenshot where there is a flyer on the floor. And the flyer, even though you cannot make out the faces, the flyer is the night of NXT TakeOver where Asuka took on Ember Moon. The only reason why I don't feel it with Ember Moon is because when you look at this video again, you look at riding the motorcycle late at night, and you just look at the whole scenario. Does that actually fit Ember Moon at all? I mean, it is nighttime and the moon is out during the night. I was thinking about that. But I just can't help but to think, I could picture Tessa Blanchard on a motorcycle doing 100. Not only that, yes, they broke the glass case with a man's title in there. Then it hit me. Tessa Blanchard won a men's championship in Impact Wrestling. Why can't Tessa Blanchard possibly try to challenge Finn Balor? So my thinking is, why does it have to be only one person? Maybe Bo Dallas returns and maybe Tessa Blanchard returns. People forget Tessa Blanchard had a series of matches in NXT. Now, they did say former champion. Once again, why does it have to be just one person? So if you ask me, I would love for it to be Bo Dallas, and I'd love for it to be Tessa Blanchard. Now, the first video from 2 weeks ago, and give WWE credit for this, and I brought this up the other day. You think of the hacker storyline that they did on SmackDown, they moved it to Raw. That hacker storyline went on for over 24 weeks. 24 weeks, not every week, but 24 weeks, maybe even more than that. It went into Emma territory. This they did in 2 weeks. And to me, I am 10 times more interested in this than the hacker storyline ever was. But 2 weeks ago, when they did the first video, the voice and everything looked like it was man. I'm going to share this again. To me, yes, you hear a male's voice and a female's voice, but to me, even the heavy breathing, to me, I think this is a woman.
I've heard them say you can never go back home. Too many roads in life to take.
Oh, I want to pause this. Take note of one more thing. Look on the left at the very beginning of the video. I don't think this is anything of a big deal, but if you notice, you see actually the Amway Center on the left. Now, if you're not aware of this, NXT is returning to the Performance Center starting this Sunday. So NXT will be doing events at the Performance Center once again. So I don't know why the Amway Center is being shown here, because I don't even think Ember Moon performed in the Amway Center. I don't even know if Bo Dallas performed in the Amway Center. But it's a little Easter egg that, not even an Easter egg, but I'm sure some people may not have seen it. But again, I'm playing it again so you could see more of why I feel this is a woman in this vignette. But if you want to just look on the left, you'll see the Amway Center.
I've heard them say you can never go back home. Too many roads in life to take. But sometimes you have to stop and look around you to see that home may not be the
See,
same place
that doesn't
as
necessarily
when you
mean
left
it's
it.
the men's title or the women's title. I think it could be both.
Doing something about
Doing
it.
something about it. Will be your destiny.
So I'm going with Tessa Blanchard and Bo Dallas. That's what I'd like to see. I like to see two people show up. Maybe they even could be a duo. Not, relationship-wise, but we will see. So that is going to take place Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I will be doing a recap. Be prepared. The recap is going to be short because we don't have many matches. This pay-per-view is going to end extremely early. Might even be done by 9 p.m. If they allow Balor and O'Reilly to go 30 minutes, then they may go, 9:30. But that pay-per-view is actually going to be ending a little bit early. So we'll see what happens. So let's talk a little briefly about SmackDown. Then we'll get into quarter-hour ratings, and then we are going to call it for a night. How long have we been going right now? We started 10:05, about 90 minutes. Okay, so I think we'll be done within the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll be done by midnight. So anyway, SmackDown tonight, opens up with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. And they were going to do a ceremony to officially crown Roman Reigns as tribal chief. Remember the recap I did last week? I told you they were going to do that, but they didn't. They did and they didn't. Paul Heyman starts his shtick. I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the aesthetics at the beginning. Yeah, the apron was red, the mat was red, but there should have been a lot more pomp and circumstance there. There should have been a lot more visuals, and there wasn't. So it felt like it was on the cheap. So Paul Heyman starts, saying what he's going to say, the proclamation that, Roman Reigns is going to be tribal chief. And Roman Reigns says to Paul Heyman, I don't want you to call me tribal chief. And he did not want to be called tribal chief because Jey Uso did not call him that. Now, I joked at the beginning of the night, and I said, if you want a good drinking game, take a shot every time they say the word oos. Not including the match with AJ Styles, I believe oos was said around 8 times, maybe more. But I agree with a lot of you out there that they're saying tribal chief so much. You know what it's starting to remind me of? When they just ad nauseum kept saying on Monday Night Messiah. How many times did Seth Rollins and the commentators and other people say at some times early on, Monday Night Messiah, Monday Night Messiah, Monday Night Messiah, Monday Night Messiah, Monday Night Messiah? It got nauseating. So they're doing, it feels like almost the same thing. But, again, Roman Reigns wants Jey Uso to tell him that he's the tribal chief. Jey comes out and, right away once again, oos, oos. I got the real Roman Reigns, oos, at Clash of Champions, oos, and oos, and oos. And then Roman Reigns, it was forced. Oh, you want a rematch at Hell in a Cell? I'll give you, but this is going to be like the biggest stipulation ever or the biggest ramifications ever. Whenever you do biggest ever, you're in store for a letdown. But all this was designed to do is set up a rematch And now we have 2+ months of Roman Reigns as champion with 2 defenses against Jey Uso. I'm not complaining all that much, but this is to eat time. That's it. Now, because Jey Uso has been a tag champion his career, and since he got his ass handed to him the last pay-per-view, they have to do suspension of disbelief this time and try to convince people that Jey Uso will be an even better opponent for Roman Reigns because they're in Hell in a Cell. Hey, what's up, Nathan? That's why you had him beat AJ Styles tonight. But, Jey Uso kept looking at Roman Reigns' belt, and Roman Reigns is like, you want that title? Is this what you want? You want that title? And he's basically giving him an opportunity. I don't want to say challenge, but giving him an opportunity to face him in Hell in a Cell. And Jey Uso accepts. And Roman Reigns said it's going to have the highest consequences. Highest consequences. So what do the highest consequences mean? Does he get pulled out on a stretcher? Does Jimmy Uso turn? I'll be honest with you, man. One thing you can figure out for certain is that Jey Uso and Roman Reigns are not going to be drafted to different brands. I know what you're going to say. Well, they could be drafted to different brands and they could still have their feud leading up to Hell in a Cell. I don't think that's happening. I just don't want to see the Usos split up. The tag team division in WWE is not as strong as it used to be. And when Jimmy Uso is ready to return in the ring, the Usos are a tremendous asset for the tag division. Yes, I'm a little sick of the Usos always carrying those belts, but the Usos are still top-notch, top quality. WWE cannot afford. I brought it up on Monday with the women's division. They split up Bayley and Sasha Banks. They split up Asuka and Kairi Sane. Kairi obviously went back to Japan. Even though I don't like them, they split up the Iconics. Those are 3 tag teams that, on different levels, but they were big part of the women's tag team division. Now they put Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose together, and, they were supposed to suddenly think it's a formidable tag team. So, Janelle, I understand the Usos want individual runs, but what does that mean? If Roman Reigns is your champion, and there are other names on the food chain that would likely also be heavyweight champion before Jimmy or Jey Uso ever will be, then what do? Do they fight for a title just to lose? Just to get destroyed? Because I can't see Jimmy or Jey Uso for any foreseeable future being a heavyweight champion. They could be IC champion, but remember, they are supposed to be building Big E. Now, you could pretty much guarantee that members of New Day will be drafted to Raw. The New Day will be on 2 separate brands. That is the only way you could justify Big E sticking to singles, even though some of his tag partners are back able to wrestle. Kofi and Xavier Woods. In fact, I believe Kofi is pretty much ready for return, and they're probably keeping him off TV just for the draft. And it would not surprise me if Kofi gets drafted to Raw and Big E stays on SmackDown, or the opposite. Personally, I think Big E stays on SmackDown because Big E versus Roman Reigns might be one of the money matches in the near future. So I just don't see, even if the Usos want singles runs, there's so many names ahead of them in those singles divisions. I don't know. How far do they go? I don't know. I really don't know. But AJ Styles' music hits. He makes fun of Jey Uso, basically saying, does it really matter who sits at the table? Does it really matter who has the most chicken bones? He wants Jey Uso to let a more formidable opponent face Roman Reigns for that belt. They end up getting into it, becomes a match. Jey Uso gets the win. Very, very good match. I know some people were not happy with AJ Styles losing. You can't win every single match. And this was designed to help, again, as I said earlier, try to put that thought in some fans' minds that, hey, maybe Jey Uso does have a shot against Roman Reigns. Jey Uso will win other matches against big, high-profile names between now and the pay-per-view. But, the match was fine. I liked the match. Jey Uso with the splash onto AJ Styles, getting the win. Great series of moves. They work well together. In fact, I would love to see them have a rematch, but, do I want to see AJ Styles lose 2 times in a row? I don't know about that. But, again, this is just to give the thought to some people that, hey, maybe Jey Uso could win. Otis beating John Morrison, garbage. I don't understand the use of John Morrison since he's been back. He's had some moments of shine, but they have just pretty much, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. What's up, Nick? Nick Winstead Art. Great artist, by the way, for real. I actually see some of his work that he does on Twitter. People are always putting over his artwork. But, big shout out to you, my friend. I hope all is well, But much love. By the way, one thing I do want to say, because I know a few of you said it, and I just want to, reiterate this, just so you know I'm reading what everybody's saying. When we were talking about Ember Moon before, a lot of people believe that she is still injured, which could very well be the case. So, again, I just look at that whole thing, with the bike, the leather, and I just picture the look. To me, Tessa Blanchard fits that a hell of a lot more than Ember Moon. As long as it's not Eva Marie. Better not be Eva Marie. Seriously. I've nothing against her personally, but man, that would be like a wet fart. Seriously. So Otis beats John Morrison. Next week, they're doing this court thing, and Otis is going to defend himself. I still like my original plan. Otis gives up the briefcase, gets Mandy drafted back to SmackDown. But again, if you remember last week, I threw a little twist in there. Maybe Otis gives the briefcase to Miz, so Mandy Rose gets drafted back to SmackDown. But then on the draft, we learn that Otis gets drafted to Raw. I would fucking laugh my ass off. Talk about trolling. That would be a great troll. Come on, you got to give me credit for that one. He gives up the briefcase. Miz gets Mandy drafted back to SmackDown. Look, Otis, we got to draft it back to SmackDown. Oh, by the way, you've been drafted to Raw. I fucking love it. I love it. I don't mean to curse, but I love it. See, that's what I would do. If I was working in a company, I would troll like that. I would be like, wow, Miz is the ultimate fucking troll. Not only does he get the briefcase, but now he's got them on separate brands again. So, seriously, I hope it happens, Ben. I hope it happens. Trust me, I almost capped the clip from last week's pay-per-view recap when I said that WWE's going to do the Tribal Chief ceremony. If Tessa shows up and they do that to Otis next week, then I got to come out with a best of deal. But Brian. Brian is saying, why do that to Otis? He deserves love. I know for a lot of us, you'd be like, wow, what an idiot. But think about it in the lady's eyes. He gave up his briefcase for the woman that he loves. And even though Goof got screwed in the end, he did it for his lady. So in the end, it just makes Otis like this simpleton, but, with the good heart. So in the end, that actually will make him a little bit more. I mean, we'll all laugh. If you remember before when I posted this, we would have to put Miz's head there instead of Velveteen Dream. I think that might, I got to make the chat message up where Miz texts Otis and says, look, thank you for the briefcase. I got Mandy drafted back to SmackDown. And Otis could write in big capital letters on a text message, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." And then Miz could then write, "Oh, by the way, you've been drafted to Raw." And then we could have Otis with the, well, let's reset this. We have Otis with the question marks. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. We could have Otis with the question marks after Miz says you've been drafted back to Raw. And then you have the little Velveteen Dream troll. So, I'm telling you, man, I hope it happens. So, next we have Kevin Owens on SmackDown. Why, I don't know, but he's got Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, her hair's a little bit bunned short. And Kevin Owens wants to interview Alexis. Alexis is a lot different than what he remembers her at the Performance Center several years ago. And Alexis with the line, "Oh, people change. You should try that." Whatever. Some of it was forced, obviously. But Kevin Owens, it's weird. It's weird. Nick, I'll talk about it, what you're saying with Kyra in a second. But it's weird because Kevin Owens is incorporating Aleister Black in this. And he's saying that, it's like he sees a change in Alexa Bliss that's similar to Aleister Black. And honestly, if you follow the storyline with Aleister Black and Kevin Owens, there's nothing the same. So Alexa Bliss starts talking about the Fiend. Kevin Owens wanted to talk about Aleister Black, but Alexa Bliss is focusing on the Fiend. So Kevin Owens is like, we're not talking about the same person, are we? And Alexa Bliss just throws it out there that when you're around him, he's terrifying but captivating. He when he looks at you, he sees right through you. And she is just enamored with the Fiend. And Kevin Owens says, "I think you've been brainwashed." And she says, "I have. I have been cleansed." And I'm looking at my notes because I was typing away as she's talking. She says, "I have been brainwashed. I have been cleansed. I've been changed by him, Kevin. I've been cleansed by him." And then in a very serious voice, she's like, "Let him in." And next thing you know, Thunderdome turns into the Fiend lighting. Everything goes dark. Lights come back on. Fiend has the mandible claw in Kevin Owens. And as I'm watching this, again, I'm thinking about all the goofs that have been shoving down your throats for 6 weeks that the Fiend is the #1 babyface on SmackDown now. Yeah, okay. All right. Love your sources. And as Kevin Owens is laid out, we got Alexa Bliss holding the Fiend's hand. Now, look, who am I to talk about physiques? Did anybody, and again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, did anybody look at the Fiend today and say, I think I had a couple of brewskis the last month? Looked like he had a nice little belly there going. I don't know if anybody noticed it. To me, it looked like he had a little bit of a belly, a little bit of the chugging a couple of cold ones. But Alexa Bliss, she's holding the Fiend's hand, and she is enamored. And, Brian took note of it. You really can't see it in the picture, but go back and watch it. You'll see. He had a little bit of the bubbly, Alberts, a little bit of the bubbly. But, so now, she's officially enamored. Again, people saying she's Sister Abigail and this, and it's and you can't incorporate the two just because they're both women, But, so now this storyline goes a little further. I don't know where this leaves Nikki Cross with this. Again, if you remember when I opened up with the show tonight, I said the draft will also drop feuds that they can't figure out how the fuck do we finish it. Would not surprise me if Nikki Cross just gets drafted to Raw and there's no completion in that Alexa Bliss thing. She could pick up the broken cup, go to Raw. Hey, she might still be out because of COVID-19 related news. We'll leave it at that. But, she may never, Lexi, we may never see it, Lexi. But, it is what it is. And next week we have Kevin Owens versus The Fiend. First time Fiend fighting on SmackDown, by the way. Since we're talking about a little bit of women's wrestling, Nick wanted me to answer this. Can I talk about Kyrie sticking with WWE? And he has a pre-order for the DIY Asuka t-shirt on his Big Cartel. Oh, yes. You know what, Nick? On Twitter, DM me the link for that. You don't have to super chat me. DM me the link for that, and I will start pushing it on Monday. So, like I said, I'm not BSing. You know, I always talk about AJ Moore, and I talk about Shaheen, Nuclear Heat Graphics. Nick Winstead Art is a guy that I don't talk enough about. He does some great artwork. And I'll show it to you all on Monday. It's definitely something you might be interested in, for real. So, yeah. And look, I wish Kairi Sane would have stuck with WWE, but right now, man, as much as we miss her, she would be lost in the shuffle. You could see clearly they want Asuka as a singles. Even when they were tag champs, they were using Asuka 10 times more on TV than they did Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane left on the best of terms. Kairi Sane could return in the future. I think she does make an appearance in the future. And I will guarantee it that if WWE tours Japan next year or the year after, once this virus is out of here, then even if they're in Japan, wouldn't surprise me if Kairi Sane works a match while they're in Japan. Yeah, Anthony, she tweeted that she's still with WWE, but you know, she's not. You know what I mean? Like, she's still part of the WWE family. But you got to remember this, too. This is something you should not discount also. Let me take a slug. You remember they were going to do WWE Japan? Kairi Sane might be a great fit for WWE Japan. I'm not saying that's going to happen still. With this COVID situation, it would be absolute madness to try to set something up right now. But, you know, I just think, I truly believe you will see Kairi Sane in the WWE ring again. I truly believe that. The only thing is, like I said, especially right now, you think of Asuka, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair is going to get a little push. You know for a fact me and Yim and Mercedes Martinez are going to get some opportunity. Then you got Sasha. Then you got Bayley. You know, those are a lot of women that are getting pushes. Where does Kairi Sane fit on there? Even if she made a return, do you want to see her back and be misused, or do you want to wait until maybe a better opportunity? Right now, Asuka is singles, and Kairi Sane returning. Honestly, you know what will happen? She'll return, and then people will be like, "Why the fuck are they using Kairi Sane like this? It sucks. She's so much better than this. Why are they using her like this?" I don't really want that. As much as I miss her, I don't want her to come back and then look what they did to Mickie James. And yes, Mickie James, you know, she's had a stellar career, so it's a little different. But still, why would you want that? So, Lucha House Bros, King of Swan Style. What's up, my friend? King of Swan Style, Lucha House Bros. You know, speaking of the Lucha House Party, we had King Corbin, Cesaro and Shinsuke versus the Lucha House Party and Matt Riddle. You had Lince Dorado cracking jokes about Kalisto, that he's in the back having a hard time putting his mask on because he's got a big head. And they're cracking jokes, and for some reason, Matt Riddle is suddenly happy with, he's got his new bro friends, Pedro, and I don't know, give me a Spanish name that ends in O, Alejandro. Yeah, the bro, Matt Riddle's got Alejandro and Pedro. My new bros, Alejandro and Pablo and Julio. I mean, this is what I thought of this match. Lucha House Party 1 with Matt Riddle. Big deal. 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, And just think about it 10, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. We always remember pay-per-view results. We don't remember the Raw or SmackDown before or the Raw or SmackDown after. This is like, okay, they got their win back, but it means nothing. Because Matt Riddle losing to King Corbin last week just came out of nowhere and made no sense. Everything that they built in that storyline got flushed down the toilet. A lot of people think that Lince Dorado could be the one splitting from the Lucha House Party and not Kalisto. Lince Dorado is jacked right now. I'll be honest with you. You know what I would do? I would have Lince Dorado and Kalisto remain a tag team, and they both beat the balls off of Grand Metalik and then kick Grand Metalik out of the Lucha House Party. I haven't seen anybody say that. I like thinking outside the box. Lince Dorado acting a little bit like a jerk. Kalisto's already, for the last bunch of weeks, acting like a jerk. I'd have the Lucha House Party be heels, Kalisto and Lince Dorado be a tag team, and they kick Grand Metalik out of the group. So, I don't know. We'll see. But that match tonight, I wasn't feeling it at all. So, Carmella, we brought up the tattoo, so we already knew this for weeks. You saw the hair. I don't know why people still, maybe they just didn't want it to be Carmella. Wait, did I have the Fiend picture up there all that time? Wow. But, a lot of people maybe just didn't want it to be Carmella, but it is. And apparently the Untouchable name is probably going to stick with her for a little bit. She's untouchable unless she doesn't want to be, like flirting a little bit. Corey Graves didn't say anything about it. She will be returning after the draft. And hey, let's see what happens. I mean, you already know what she's all about. You already know what she could do. She really hasn't changed much of her look. And if you follow, like I said earlier, she's all over social media. So it's not like she's been in hiding. People are talking. It was weird tonight, man. I'm serious. Go back on social media if you think I'm making it up. I saw like old-time podcasters and websites, bloggers, like talking about her face and the plastic surgery and the nose and the jaw. And I'm like, where the fuck have you been on social media the last 6 months? You've talked about her pictures. You talked about the stuff that she said with Corey Graves on podcasts. Why are people acting like they haven't seen what she looked like? I don't know, man. I don't know. But, hey, they're trying to tweak her character a little bit. I'm fine with that. It may work. May not. We'll see. Sasha Banks cutting a promo, basically calling out Bayley, and she's going to take what Bayley prides the most in, and that's the title, that she feels she was used by Bayley to become, they got to include the accolades, the longest reigning champion. They're having a match next week, and as I said earlier, don't get upset over it. It's just going to be in a schmaz to build to Hell in a Cell. Plain and simple. It's going to build to Hell in a Cell. So don't fall into this, they're doing the match on Feet TV. Like I said, anybody that, other than fans, anybody that writes that is either stupid, naive, or they're just looking to get hits. And I'm cool with that. I mean, some people will write that just to get, it's the draw. Look at all the podcasts out there, and they put the giant block letters, and they put the big, people's faces on there, or they'll put the crazy reactions like, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. If you saw what I did on Wednesday, with the Backlund shirt, showing off the gun, I'm not going to do it now, but usually when I put up previews like this, sorry about that. When I do the previews like this, it's pretty much giving you an idea of what I'm going to talk about tonight, and I might as well mention it too. Paul Heyman, he's the manager of Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns continues to do interviews. And Roman Reigns in the interviews, very, very cool, down to earth. When they talk about Paul Heyman, this is obviously going to be a catchphrase, may even be on a shirt. But as I teased yesterday, Roman Reigns saying that, he's not a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman is a Roman Reigns guy. Basically, and that's the whole storyline. Roman Reigns didn't seek out Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman seeked out Roman Reigns. That's the storyline. Plain and simple. Don't know if this is going to end up with Brock Lesnar making a return. I want them to keep building Ridge Holland like Brock Lesnar. Man, shades of the next big thing. Man, I'm into Ridge Holland, man. He's got a long way to go. I mean, he's still very, very raw. But that guy, he's got something, man. He could be the next. I mean, I know he probably wouldn't like to be called the next Brock Lesnar. He'd rather be the first Ridge Holland. But that guy's got something, man. You could see. I don't want to compare it to Goldberg, but that guy's got something that is there. You just got to find the perfect recipe to bring it out. So we'll see. And Swan Style says he knows it's typical. Come on here every week and complain about Matt Riddle, but how's he going to be a star with his booking? Look, I think this is all to get him on Raw, get him on Raw Underground, and he's going to have a new crop of opponents. I'll tell you the truth. Matt Riddle, to me, is better suited on Raw. You don't have live fans there. LED screens doesn't count for me anymore. That guy is better for like a live crowd. If he was on SmackDown with the young fans, bro, like you could see he's a character that would like cartoonish, interactive with the crowd. That ain't happening right now. Put him on Raw Underground. They basically kept him attached to Matt Riddle until this draft was going down. So honestly, I think Matt Riddle goes to Raw. And if he goes to Raw, I expect him in Raw Underground. And that will get interesting very, very quickly. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little surprised they haven't done more with Matt Riddle on Raw Underground already. But we'll wait and see, man. Mastermind Lee showing love from Jersey. What's up, my friend? Jersey, I hope everything is good over there. I take note, of how COVID is doing and everything. Jersey's not doing all that bad. I think once it gets colder out, it actually may get worse because people are going to be confined unless they don't do nightclubs, unless they don't do nightclubs. I know Atlantic City is getting a little bit busy again, but, something I've been saying locally here, I haven't really had a chance to say it on these shows. I might have said it once last week. But when you talk about the indoor dining over here, what I would do, I would let indoor dining come back to 75% minimum. But then every restaurant owner, and I'm sorry for young fans out there, but have every restaurant owner put a fucking sign in front of their building, 25 and over only. Because so many 18 to 24-year-olds are the ones getting COVID right now more than anybody else because they don't take the virus seriously either. I mean, that's just a fact. You look at protests and you look at the beach. You look at tiki bars and you look at pubs and you see all, people, parties, and almost all the time it's 18 to 24-year-olds. So I would allow restaurants to return to like 75% and let the restaurants all put signs on their door. Nobody under 25. And when 18 to 24-year-olds have nowhere to go to drink, nowhere to go to hang out, nowhere to go to party, then eventually I think they'll take it a little bit more seriously. So just me. I'm not trying to ruin fun for anyone out there, but if you saw me in Connecticut and you saw us eating, I didn't get sick. She didn't get sick. Nobody has gotten sick over there. You could look at the history in that neck of the woods in Connecticut, and there's been no cases coming out of that casino. And every booth had plexiglass between the booths. And they had filtration. They had the lighting. Everybody wore a mask. when they first came in, sure, you're eating and drinking, you're not drinking, you're not using a mask. But the point is that even if somebody did sneeze, they really had no place to go. And they would spray around the areas, they would wipe the floors down, and that's it. You rarely hear anybody having cases where they're at a place and there's plexiglass between everybody, and everybody's wearing masks off and on, depending on if they're eating or drinking, that they're spraying the area and they're wiping the floors. I mean, you don't see too many people going on TV like, wow, I was in this place and they had plexiglass everywhere and they sprayed and they cleaned the floor and I still caught COVID. How many times do you hear anybody do that? How many times? How many times? You hear about parties, you hear about protests, you hear about beaches, you hear about bars, and you always hear people that just aren't wearing a mask. And when they're wearing a mask, they're not wearing like giant-sized condoms over their head, like the Naked Gun. They're hanging out in the bar. Hey, what's going on, babe? Hey, what do you think? Our president, he's fucked. Hey, what do you think? Or you get the people that are drunk and they're talking with, like, drinking them out and they're spitting. Oh, babe, let me get your number. And then they're just spitting everywhere. They're spitting everywhere. How he even got on this, I have no idea. Thank you, Matt Riddle, for that. It's Matt Riddle's fault. Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy. But before that match takes place, we find out Kevin Owens versus Fiend, as we said. Sasha versus Bayley for the title, as we said. Big E versus Sheamus, Falls Count Anywhere next week. So, look, this is going to be a big SmackDown show. They know they're going to pop a little bit of a rating because of the draft. So they're putting high-profile matches on there. They want to try to get some casual viewers to tune in that haven't been tuning in for a while, and hopefully it could keep them for a little bit. So that's pretty much it. Sami Zayn and Jeff Hardy had a great match. I was a little perturbed that they had a match at all after the amazing match they had Sunday. I mean, just in storyline, maybe they should have taken a week off. But they had a great match. Sami Zayn cutting a funny promo during the night about gloating, and he threw Jeff Hardy's title in the trash, and which is funny because if you look at both titles, I mean, I don't know if he has personalized nameplates on it, maybe he does, but the belts look the same. I would have just thrown the nameplates in the trash, seriously, but in storyline. But basically, it was a back and forth match, very physical, but in the end, Sami Zayn exposes the top turnbuckle. Jeff Hardy has a miscue, and he goes head first into the top metal area where the turnbuckle was, and Sami Zayn pins him. No real controversy, no interference. Sami Zayn with a little bit of cheating, but he remains your champion, and they go off the air with that. So, it was a decent SmackDown as far as the progression of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. As far as hype for the draft of next week, the advance of the storyline of Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. I mean, those pretty much are what's solid right now, and even Bayley and Sasha Banks. Next week, like I said, I actually think next week is necessary to lead the story to Hell in a Cell. So, that's it. So, before we go, I want to get into some ratings. I know a lot of you out there were looking forward to this. And again, I got to give a little bit of the credit for some of this to Dave Meltzer, who actually does a crap load of research on ratings as well. Like I said, I used to have an account with Nielsen and another company. I can't remember the name right now. But I used to have quarter hours, all these different ratings, details, and I just never pursued it after a while, because once we went from remember when they used to say 3.0 rating, and then it went, when it was Impact that started it. We would hear Raw did a 3.1, TNA did a 2.2, or Impact did a 1.3. And then Impact started getting so bad in the ratings, there was no longer, it was a 0 point. Remember, I used to call aces and eights, aces and 0.8s, because their storyline was so bad, they would only get a 0.8 rating. Trust me, Impact would cream right now if they get a 0.8 rating. But the thing is, the ratings got so low that people started just reporting the viewers. Next thing and if you look early on, it would say, oh, Raw scored a 3.1. Impact scored 440,000 viewers. And I'm like, okay, what does that equal to? 440,000 viewers. Well, why are you putting 3.4 for Raw, but Impact, you're giving me the total viewers? And as wrestling went on the decline and Raw's numbers went down and SmackDown's numbers went down, everybody now focuses strictly on the viewers, the number of viewers. So that's what we got. But if you follow me every week, you already know the trends that I have been telling you about certain wrestlers not popping ratings. And you got to understand, some of these wrestlers have been on NXT for years, couple of years. And it is a little concerning when you see the way some of the numbers go. Now, AEW, it's a little bit different because obviously they've been winning in the ratings. They've been in the top 15 of all shows Wednesday night on cable. And they're still a new kid in town. But if you remember what I said about Moxley not popping a rating, and I've pointed that out more than once. If you've noticed me talking about certain wrestlers in NXT, Damian Priest, Timothy Thatcher, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, trying to think who else. There was another one that I got it right here. Shit. Hold on. I got it right here. Why do I not see it here? Huh. Brandon Grimes. Cameron Grimes. Him also. They're not popping ratings. Not at all. And I'm going to get into the ratings. Now, I'm going to get into 2 weeks ago first because we didn't have the quarter-hour breakdowns of last Wednesday until yesterday. I don't know why there was a big delay on this, but take note of these ratings, and you're going to see. Now, look, when you have NBA games on the same network, remember what I said. You got a lot of people who don't change the channel right away, so if you see a big drop from like quarter hour 1 to 2 sometimes, especially on TNT, can't blame it on the wrestling. It's a little vague, to do that. But AEW this past week, and if you notice the ratings, what were the ratings again? AEW did 866 and NXT did 732. I was almost exact. I think I said 860 for AEW and they did 866, and I think I said 716, something like that for NXT. I was like this on both. But AEW, Darby Allin and Ricky Starks opened up with 1.026 million viewers, 1,026,000 viewers. They were the only quarter Wednesday night that went over 1 million. So give Darby Allin and Ricky Starks credit that they drew 1 million viewers for that quarter. And let me tell you something. If you think that was a carryover from, show before, I'll tell you why that's not the case. Quarter 2, which was the brawl with Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee, that only went down to 986,000 viewers. So they really lost only about 35,000 viewers in that. And you had the promo from FTR. So for the first 2 quarters, they were killing it. All right. Again, FTR usually does great ratings in their matches. But SCU, though, I don't think many people were as excited to see SCU taking on FTR. The rating went from 986 all the way down to 824 for quarter 3, and then it went up slightly to 836 for quarter 4 because their match went into 2 quarters. The beginning of hour number 2, Chris Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy and the segment with Miro in the game room, that went up slightly. It went from 836 to 844. Orange Cassidy versus 10. And then the segment with MJF in the Inner Circle, believe it or not, that rating went down. It went from 844 down to 785. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet and Eddie Kingston's promo increased from 785 to 806. And then your main event, Jon Moxley versus an opponent of Eddie Kingston's choosing, and he chose the Butcher. Rating only went from 806 to 815. Honestly, Moxley, as we have brought up week after week, is just not popping ratings. I mean, it's not disappointing ratings, but he's not getting viewers from NXT to watch his matches. So just to summarize again, Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, 1,126,000. The Cody Lee Brawl FTR promo down to 986, then down to 824, and then 836 FTR versus SCU. Jericho Cassidy only went up to 844. Orange Cassidy versus 10 dropped all the way down to 785. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet jumped slightly to 806. And then Butcher versus Moxley went up to 815. So their first hour, they rocked it. Second hour, not so much. On the NXT side, Shotzi Blackheart versus Dakota Kai opened up with 848,000 viewers. This is a big deal. Think about this for a minute. You're not, and no one else is going to talk about this. Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks did 1,026,000. Shotzi Blackheart versus Dakota Kai did 848,000. Add those two together. That's almost 1.9 million viewers watching wrestling to open up. And if you think that that was a fluke, you go into quarter two. The the end of the Shotzi Blackheart Dakota Kai match, and then you had the Isaiah Swerve Scott Santos Escobar promo, and then the video package of Kyle O'Reilly. That rating went from 848 down to 757. But on the AEW side, they were still at 986 for the Cody Brody. I just realized they rhyme. Brody Cody. So if you add those two numbers together, you're still at 1,750,000 viewers. So wrestling doing pretty good at the beginning of the night on Wednesday. So third quarter, which is the Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae promo, and the Cameron Grimes match with Ridge Holland and Joey Pistachio, that actually jumped back up to 835. Which is a little surprising. I don't know if that's more because of Gargano's segment or the Cameron Grimes stuff, but very interesting to see that actually increase by 60,000 viewers. Kushida versus Tony Nese went from 835 down to 742. Adam Cole versus Austin Theory only lost 1,000 viewers. It went down to 741. Caden Carter versus Xia Li dropped all the way to 687. The Shawn Michaels, Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly segment, which was the next to last hour quarter, only did 611,000 viewers. Ouch. And the main event, Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae versus Damian Priest and Io Shirai, only did 635,000 viewers. Again, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, you follow it on a weekly basis. Their matches are not popping ratings. So to summarize NXT, 848, 757, 835, 742. You see the first hour? Like this. But then the second hour, 741, 687, 611, 635. After hour one, NXT could not keep their viewers, just kept going down. If you look at AEW without mentioning matches, 1,026,000, 986, 824, 836, 844, 785, 806, 815. The week before, and we'll go through this a lot faster since it's already a week gone by, but I think some of these numbers you'll find very interesting. Miedo's debut, teaming up with Kip Sabian versus Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss, only opened up with 762,000 viewers. Compare that to Darby Allin and Ricky Starks that did over 1 million. Miedo's debut did 762. The Eddie Kingston promo, and in the beginning of Adam Page versus Evil Uno, that jumped slightly to 789. The end of that match, and then the segment with Shivani and Matt Jackson, that only did 762, so it went down further. Brody Lee versus Orange Cassidy jumped all the way up to 868,000 viewers. As much as people don't like this and might think it's ridiculous, but you have to start mentioning it, Brody Lee is popping some of the biggest ratings week after week after week. Numbers don't lie. Brody Lee that match went from 762 to 868, 106,000 viewers. This is why I get into the quarter hour viewers, because you start seeing the trends, who is getting noticed, who actually is having great ratings, no matter who they face. So give that credit. Sam, no, I don't want any pizza. It's late. Believe it or not, I'm drinking like a keto drink right now. That's why it looks cloudy. And I actually have to jet out of here in about 5 minutes because we're running a little late. But I want to finish up these ratings because, again, the trends, it's very interesting, some of these numbers. So anyway, so Brody Lee and Orange Cassidy jumped up to 868. Orange Cassidy usually is not doing tremendous ratings. So you got to give this to Brody Lee because you see, no matter who he faces, his ratings are pretty impressive. Tully Blanchard and FTR's promo with Best Friends, and then the beginning of the match of Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa versus Diamante and Ivelisse, that only went down slightly to 877. The finish of that match, and then that promo, Chris Jericho and MJF, that went down slightly to 859. Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston, the closeout AEW Dynamite, only went up to 873. So when you look 2 weeks in a row at Moxley main eventing, 1 week they did 873, the other week they did 815. So below the average number. You look, AEW this week, their rating was 866. So this week, Moxley was 815, lower than the overall rating. Last week, lower than the overall rating. So now you go to NXT. This is very interesting. The Women's Battle Royal opened up with 913,000 viewers. In fact, at the very beginning, it was over 1 million. The Battle Royal went into quarter 2. By the end of the Battle Royal, they lost 160,000 viewers. I think once Rhea Ripley got eliminated and they realized that we were going to get Candice LeRae or, someone else, it went from 913 down to 754. Then you had Tommaso Ciampa versus Jake Atlas, the Ridge Holland video, and then the beginning of the match with Roderick Strong and Danny Burch versus Mendoza and Aichner. That rating dropped all the way down to 711,000 viewers, and it didn't get any better. Roderick Strong and Danny Burch, that tag match, went into the next quarter. They dropped another 100,000 viewers. That was that goofy match that the winners they get their tag partner and they face. That's why the tag titles are not being defended Sunday. Tyler Breeze is not cleared to wrestle yet. So they haven't even determined who their tag opponents are going to be. This was that dopey tag team match where it was one member from each team. So by the time that match ended, they had already lost 100,000 viewers. They were already down to 608. The beginning of hour 2, Damian Priest versus Austin Theory, it barely recovered, only did 646. The Isaiah Swerve Scott interview, the Ridge Holland squash match, and then you had the segment with Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano, and Damian Priest, that dropped even further to 616. Then you had the Gauntlet Eliminator match. 2 quarters. First quarter, 663. Final quarter of the night, 652. A lot of these guys are just not popping ratings. So you look at AEW overall from last Wednesday, 762, 789, 762, 868, 893, 877, 859, 873. Once they got to hour 2, they stood in the mid to upper 8s, AEW. NXT went downhill. 913, 754, 711, 608, 646, 616, 663, 652. Says it all. Says it all. If you look at the same, it's on NXT, it's the same people not generating ratings. I know they want to push some of these people, but they're just losing viewers. That's why, honestly, I know as ridiculous as this sounds, that's why I think some of these wrestlers need to go to Raw or SmackDown. Because after these several years and still, losing 100,000 viewers, 100,000. And if you see like who they're going up against, for example, if you look at, I'll give you an example of one. You look at the second quarter. That was the remainder of the Battle Royal. Now, we're at the end of the Battle Royal where the suspense is supposed to build. They lost 160,000 viewers on that Battle Royal. That Battle Royal went up against the Eddie Kingston promo where he said that, he never submitted he never lost the Battle Royal. And then you had the beginning of Adam Page versus Evil Uno. All right. That went up against the Battle Royal, and the Battle Royal lost 150,000 viewers. I mean, and that's to determine who's going to face Io Shirai at TakeOver. So, yeah. King of Swanson, you're right. Keith Lee drew less than Adam Cole as NXT champion. Keith Lee, with all due respect, I pointed that out. Keith Lee was not popping ratings on NXT. And it's weird because I said last year for about 5 months, Keith Lee was my favorite wrestler in NXT. And for some reason, once he started going for that championship, I don't know. It's just strange how, the fans started losing interest. I think the damage was done when he gave up the North American Championship. It wasn't him. It was the storyline. Double champion, that's history. That's celebrated. And when you're a double champion, you're fighting to have that double title. And the spoiler came out with, in this year's, spoiling it. And after all of that build, he's a double champion just to say, I don't want this title. I mean, that's damage. And that's WWE's fault. So, but yeah, so those are your ratings. Now, before I go, there's really not much to add to it. But this is on YouTube already, and, we have permission to share this as well. But, if you remember the bankruptcy, a lot of people out there, including yours truly, thought that there was a chance the XFL would return with a different owner. Be interesting that The Rock had Vince McMahon get involved in it again. Makes you wonder. I don't know if Vince would do it, though. I think Vince is probably so devastated as far as what happened. He's probably like, no, I'm bad luck. But The Rock posted this video this week regarding the future of XFL. I think some of you that aren't aware of this will like this announcement.
Some look at this place and only see a football field.
But it's more than that.
This is hallowed ground.
This is an opportunity.
To build a league of culture, passion, and purpose.
To live a dream.
Our work is cut out for us, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
This will be earned. We'll give it every last ounce of football-loving energy in the tank.
And then we'll give it more.
Our hearts,
Our souls.
this is for the players, the coaches, the cities, the fans.
For stories untold,
For potential unrealized.
we are hungry, we are humble.
And no one will outwork us.
The XFL is back
Back for the love.
of football.
And we dropped drink all over the desk. That's why I was wiping that down. She does have a little bit of a deep voice. You know what she reminds me of? Who is that character? For all of you fans of Batman from the 60s, who is that female that used to play, it wasn't Catwoman. I think it was Catwoman. Eartha Kitt? Doesn't she sound like Eartha Kitt? I mean, talk about a name that most of you don't even know. She kind of sounds like Eartha Kitt. Is that her name? I think that's her name. Grace Jones. That's a good one. Yes. Brian Alex. Grace Jones. You know what? JL, that's a good one too. She sounds like Stephanie McMahon. She does. Seriously, let's play that one more time. Seriously, I really want to play that one more time. She does sound like Stephanie McMahon, and it allows me to wipe the rest of my desk.
Some look at this place and only see a football field.
But it's more than that.
This is hallowed ground.
This is an opportunity.
To build a league of culture, passion, and purpose.
To live a dream.
Our work is cut out for us, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
This will be earned. We'll give it every last ounce of football-loving energy in the tank.
And then we'll give it more.
Our hearts,
Our souls.
this is for the players, the coaches.
She does
the
sound like
cities,
Stephanie.
The fans.
For stories untold,
For potential unrealized.
we are hungry, we are humble.
And we are
no
dry.
one will outwork us.
The XFL is back
Back for the love.
of football.
Holy shit, she does sound like Stephanie. Wow. It does. That's his ex-wife, right? Because she's part owner of that now. How does Rock is married to someone else? Got to give her credit, because honestly, I'll tell you about me. This is just me. If I met a woman and she said to me, honey, I love you, but I'm going to start a business with my ex-husband, I don't think I can handle that. That's just me. I mean, look, I don't care that he endorsed Biden. That's his prerogative. That's his choice. I respect it. But, that guy must be like, I don't know. But you know what? That's a whole different world too. Seriously, when you are in that celebrity world and you talk about the amount of money that they make, their lifestyle is not the same as ours. Their mindset is not the same as ours. So Muhammad, I don't think it is any type of a cuck thing. And by the way, did you hear what Miro said on Twitch, that in that storyline with Lashley and Lana, that they actually wanted Miro to have erectile dysfunction before he became the sex addict? They wanted to say that he had ED, believe it or not. So, even though The Rock knew his wife since college, why would I think about this? I meet the woman of my dreams. I get married to her. And then she says to me, honey, look, I know my ex-husband since college. We're going to start a football league together. I don't know. This maybe because I'm a guy and I'm a New Yorker and I'm an Italian, I'm an older guy. Me, my mindset, I'd be like, you ain't fucking calling him. No fucking way. I ain't letting you do anything with any other guy. Sorry. That's just me. That's just me. But hey, it's purely platonic. And who knows? Who knows what their relationship was when they first got married? I know someone who married someone, And there was nothing physical about it. It was done more so somebody could stay in the country. I'm not saying that The Rock's first wife was illegal. I'm just saying, like, you know, people have different relationships. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. But with that said, everyone, I'm going to jet out of here. So I hope everybody stays safe. If you enjoyed this show, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up before you go. If you didn't like the show, totally respect that. Give it a thumbs down. Just be, you know, a little interactive. You know, I want to see, you know, everybody's feedback. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you know, please do so you're aware of whenever shows are going to be uploaded. I posted the video for the Q&A. For some of you, because I know not everybody checks out every show that I do, but if you go on my video section, you'll see that I posted a 3-minute video. I'm going to do a Q&A a week from this Sunday. So you are more than welcome to post your questions, and I will get into them. I'm going to do a live special show next Sunday. I think it's 6 p.m. So I'll be right up here. And if you're around Sunday night, right after NXT TakeOver, I will be here with your recap. Now, again, as of right now, it's 5 matches. There have been 2 matches that they have talked about having go down Sunday as well. One of them actually to determine who the number 1 contender is going to be for the tag titles, but they haven't announced them. So as of right now, we have 5. I think they will at least add 1. But even with that, and even if Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor go 30 minutes, this pay-per-view looks like it's going to end between 9 and 9:30. So we'll have an early night to do a recap. And I'm very curious, if you think that someone other than Bo Dallas, Tessa Blanchard, or Ember Moon is going to appear on TakeOver Sunday, post it in the comment section. And we'll see if anybody ends up nailing it. So now I also heard that it's not going to be live Sunday. So if anybody's going to ask me if I'm doing a predictions contest, no. It appears it's not going to be live, and there's a lot of risk of spoilers coming out. And we just did a contest last week. I haven't even figured out the winner yet. It's been hectic every single day this week. So over the weekend, I'm going to calculate everybody's scores from Clash of Champions, and I'll have a winner announced by Monday. So, no, Chad, honestly, I appreciate all the love. And I'm not saying this to kiss ass or to not cause controversy, but JD from New York style and my style are totally different. I don't compare my show to anyone else's out there. I mean, my style is so much different than everybody else's. So, you know, we both happen to talk about wrestling, but it's 2 totally different shows. So, you know, if people don't like him or if they don't like me and like him instead, it's all good. It's not a competition thing. You know, he complains too much, you know, honestly, and I've said this to him to his face. Well, not really to his face, but online. You know, there have been many years where I couldn't stand him. I just thought he was god-awful. I just thought, you know, for somebody to complain. But then, you know, I started to get it, you know, and he really is a gigantic fan of wrestling. He does a lot of work for House of Hardcore. He has a lot of friends in the business. He just wants wrestling to be good. And when it sucks, he is going to be the loudest voice in the room. You know, some people love that. Some people hate it. But, you know, he is not a guy that just stirs it up just for attention. You know, the people that do that just for attention, it usually carries over in real life. You know, in any situation, it carries over. But him, no, he's just a very passionate fan. Oh, and by the way, before we go, hopefully by Monday, we'll find out that the person who assaulted Rick Moranis is arrested. I mean, I know some of you out there may not even know who Rick Moranis is, but when he did that cameo in that cell phone company recently, I mean, I even commented, that would have been a perfect Super Bowl ad. For those that don't know, Rick Moranis was, and I actually screenshotted the guy's picture, and I was going to put it on here, and I forgot. Rick Moranis was, I think, around the subway. I think around the subway in New York City. and some guy who was walking down the street, I guess, went into the subway. And you know how you see videos of people just walking down the street and people just walk up to him and just cheap shot him, punch him right in the face, knock him out for no reason? Somebody went up to him and knocked him on his ass. It doesn't appear in any way, shape, or form that the person knew it was Rick Moranis. Just Rick Moranis was just doing whatever he was doing, and some guy just walked up to him and punched him out, knocked him out. So he's okay, but it's just a really disturbing story, and it's something that goes on a lot more than you think. It just gets, it gets buried between all the other shit going on in the world. So, but yeah, if you didn't know about that story, go on Google it, or go on Twitter. They got a good picture of the guy that did it because he went through the turnstile. And there's cameras everywhere now. So they got a really good picture on the guy. That guy will get caught. I mean, somebody will turn him in. But, I mean, you just think about 2020. Rick Moranis, and remember, the guy's walking the opposite way. So the only thing that this guy, when he assaulted him, only could see is the back of his head. He didn't look at him and say, hey, that's Rick Moranis' back of his head. Just think of 2020. Rick Moranis, that everybody seems to have a soft spot for, just randomly is in the subway and he gets knocked out. Can it get any worse? What's next? Another plane crash, a terrorist act? I mean, what's next? Something else. 2020 cannot just go down quietly besides the election. Something else. He didn't knock him out, Ray, but he hurt him. He hurt him. He did some damage. If he didn't do anything major, they wouldn't be hunting him down. He assaulted him really good. This guy wasn't looking to just give a little tap like, hey. No, he fucking wailed him. So, oh man, messed up world, man. But you know what? I think the Donzilla Army is alive and well. I hope you all stay safe, stay strong. And, you're not going to always be able to do this, but always try to take chicken shit and try to turn it into chicken salad. There's two groups of people. There's three groups of people out there. There are people out there who really want to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, but just can't because of so many circumstances surrounding them. But there are people out there that will not let this virus consume them, but also are very cautious and safe. Not cavalier like what our president did, but there's that group of people that are going to always try to turn a negative into a positive. And then you got those people that are just letting the last 8 months just eat them alive. And they don't even know it. They don't even know it. It's really sad to see some social media profiles out there. And if you actually just take a step back and look at it, you could see people, just slowly floating into irrelevancy because their superhero stories or their sob stories are no longer unique because everybody out there is battling the good fight. So, it's sad to watch it. But us, we try to smile and laugh. That's what I always try to do. Some people, it's weird looking at the Q&A, and some people are like, do I ever have a bad day? I have bad days every day. When it comes time to do these shows, I try to forget about it. I try to have fun, try to talk about stuff that we like to talk about, mix in a little bit of real life and reality because that's always needed, but we always just try to turn negatives into positives. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. If you check out TakeOver, enjoy it as well. I'm very curious to see who appears. And I'll tell you one good thing. I'm happy that I have rarely saw anybody complain about the idea of Bo Dallas returning. It really made me feel good because Bo Dallas, you would think people would be like, Oh, come on. That guy, what do you really care about that guy for? But no, I mean, people that have been talking about the possibility of Bo Dallas returning to NXT, people have welcomed it. And I actually think that's pretty cool. Benjamin says he heard Tony Storm. Honestly, Tony Storm, I don't think would. Now, look, we don't have live fans yelling and screaming in there, so we really don't know what kind of reaction she would get. I don't think Tony Storm really would make that much. I mean, look, if Tony Storm were to appear in NXT and on a regular basis or even for a little while, I'm fine with that. But if she is the surprise, I think that would be a big letdown because a majority of U.S. fans, you know, I don't want to say, not that they don't know her, but they're not connected. They're not connected. Tessa Blanchard would be big time news. Ember Moon, people would be happy to see her back. Hell, you've heard me say that I would think Naomi or Mickie James should go to NXT. You know, I think they actually would fit quite well there. Naomi with a little bit of an attitude change, I think it actually would work. So we'll see. I mean, 48 hours, we're going to know. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be a very easy recap Sunday. I hope you all join me. And if you're on Patreon, holy shit, I just realized something. Oh, no. Patreon, I'm doing a Q&A Sunday, but I think I might have advertised 6 p.m. I'm probably going to have to make that earlier, make it like 3 p.m. because I just realized we have TakeOver on Sunday. So if you're on Patreon, I'll make the alert Saturday that we'll start it a couple hours early. This way it doesn't overlap TakeOver because I want my eyes glued to TakeOver. So Benjamin thinks Tessa is pad PR to WWE. Oh. Let me say it like this. Let me show you. They got this guy still on TV. I don't think Tessa Blanchard is going to be that much of an issue. That's how I look at it. You know, look, we know the story. We know what happened. Putting that aside, there's no question Tessa Blanchard is one of the top women in wrestling. And people do make mistakes. People learn by those mistakes. I still think back when CM Punk said some really derogatory stuff to fans live at a WWE house show. Some people have been caught saying some bad shit. You don't justify bad shit with other bad shit. Point is that, you know, a lot of people did come to her defense in wrestling. A lot of people did not. But I don't think she should be banished from pro wrestling because of a huge error in judgment. Hopefully she's grown by it. She's learned by it. And trust me, if it ends up being Tessa Blanchard in WWE, I guarantee you WWE has talked to her quite a bit and really got a sense as far as what they're dealing with. If it's her. We don't even know if it's her. So, look, I'm a Tessa Blanchard fan. I don't like the story that came out with La Rosa Negra. I've already talked about that. And but I also feel that people should be given a chance to redeem themselves. And we will see what happens. So, everyone, enjoy the rest of the weekend. And on Monday, Mish and I will cover Raw. We'll talk a little bit more about the draft. I will find out if NXT is officially involved. As of right now, I heard no. But that doesn't mean that someone gets called up to the roster. In fact, I think it's necessary. So we'll get all the details. So Mish and I will be on Monday after Raw. I will be up here Sunday after TakeOver. And be well. As I said like a half hour ago, if you enjoyed the show, give it one of these. If you didn't like the show, give it one of these. And I'll give you one of these. And subscribe. And remember, that little bell that you see on the screen, hit that bell so you get notified, for all the shows that come up. So this way you're always notified. And, I'll start recording some videos in advance. We'll start doing some things. And hopefully by next week or the week after, we'll start taking calls. So, everyone, it's been great. I'm out of here. Much love as always. And I'll catch you all again Sunday after NXT TakeOver. Ciao, everybody.